Well, folks, it's the big day. It's election time. And tonight we're going to decide who is going to be the next president of the United States. Is it going to be Trump or is it going to be Clinton? Now, in my personal opinion, I think that Donald Trump is going to win tonight's election, and the Electoral College final count is going to be 284 for Trump and 254 for Clinton. Ultimately, it boils down to three states that really matter, and that is going to be Florida, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, of which I think that Donald Trump will win all three. If it comes down to one single state deciding the election, the state that will be doing so is going to be Pennsylvania. So if you're from Pennsylvania, your vote counts much more than most of the people in the rest of the country. You are going to see Clinton probably take Nevada, and you're going to see Trump take New Hampshire and one vote from Maine, one congressional district. That's going to end up 284, 254. My map is in the background, as you can see. Now, what makes me think that this is going to happen? Well, first of all, the turnout at the Republican primary was the highest it's ever been in the history of the United States. 14.8% of Republican registered people went out and voted. That's a big amount. They've never voted that many before. That's really something that's going to be important in this election. You have a lot of people who are African Americans who are deciding that they're not going to be voting in this election. They don't have the motivation that they did 8 years ago when President Obama was going for the first black person in office. So that's going to be really interesting. We're not going to see as many African American voters. We're probably going to see a lot more voters in general. I think that this election is going to have the highest percentage of the population of registered voters active, more than any other election previously since 1968. And we're going to be seeing probably 60-something% of active voters voting in this election, which is going to have a big impact on who is elected. And I think that a lot of people are closet Trumpers. They don't want to be hassled or made into look like an evil person by the leftists who think that anybody who supports Trump is a misogynistic pig and hates women. That's basically the message. If you've seen all the Hillary Clinton commercials, they all have to do with women and children and emotion and trying to get women to vote because that's who they're going after. None of the men are actually voting for Hillary Clinton. I read a statistic that says something like 80% of white men in America are actually voting for Trump. Now we have to think about what's going to happen if either Trump or Clinton is going to be elected. Now, if Clinton is elected, this is going to be very, very bad in a lot of ways. We already see the incredible divide among our country, and I think that there's a very high chance of a civil war or World War III between us and Russia and Iran getting involved, and it's going to be one big mess. And one of the biggest reasons why is because Putin is not exactly a raging feminist or social justice warrior. Russia is not exactly a big leftist country. And that's going to create some huge problems and roadblocks moving forward. You're going to see ridiculous amounts of foreigners coming in. You're going to see a lot more violence, a lot more social unrest, and a lot more problems coming into this country if Hillary Clinton is elected, as she is more of a globalist than a nationalist. And globalism, as we've seen in many other parts of the world, is a complete failure. Look at all the problems that are coming right now in Europe because of these people from Syria, the refugees, going into other countries and turning them into hellholes with absolutely no respect for any culture whatsoever. I do not want that in the United States, and I hope that that doesn't happen. Now, if Trump is elected, I predict that Wall Street will crash very significantly, very quickly. This will be because of one of two reasons. Either Trump decides to try and make the interest rates actually normal instead of negative, or we're going to see the Democrats basically pull the, launch button and try and destroy the country as much as they can when Trump takes over. So it looks like Trump was responsible for the economic collapse of the country that has basically just been hanging on by a string for many, many years now because of the incredible rampant overspending and disgusting corruption from the government. So we're going to be seeing some really interesting and quite possibly extremely scary scenarios playing out in the next couple of months and even tonight. I mean, who's going to win the election? It's still up for grabs, really. I think Trump's going to win, but anything can happen. We've seen a lot of things happen, and those 4 million registered dead people to vote, they might have something to do with this election. But as interesting as it is, we have the largest increase of registered voters in history over the last 8 years. 33% more voters now than there was when Barack Obama was elected in 2008. That is incredible. That is a lot more voters. So this is what's going to happen. I think 284, 254. Let me know what you think, comments, suggestions, and please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be trying to put out some more videos all the time on a lot of different subjects that hopefully generate some types of conversation. Thank you. Bye-bye.